Ladies and gentlemen, 3 matches left here on finals day. It is Saturday, the 3rd day of QuakeCon and the 3rd day of the QPL World Championship. Joining me at the desk, Lethal and Flea. And we decided, Twitch chat's they're gonna get their way. They're like, can we speed this up a little bit? We're like tired of hearing you all talk. We want to see the action. So do we.
Don't blame
so
him.
do we.
Don't
We're going to
blame
be
him.
jumping into the picks and bans as soon as they are ready. We are going into Rapha versus k1llsen, and we've already got him up. It is Keep, Ruins, Deep Embrace, and Awoken, and finally Molten.
I'll start things off by saying that Rapha's like, I've had enough exile for one day, especially after his last series against Cypher. So he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, I might play later on, depending on how far he gets. And k1llsen, he's banned Veil. Not only is it one of Rapha's best maps, but at the same time, k1llsen, he just likes to avoid Veil at all costs. It's not about Rapha's strength in any way. It's just a bit of a coincidence, really. He bans Veil 9 times out of 10. He just utterly dislikes the map. But going to the picks though, from Rapha, seen straight away, he's selected the Sorlag. He's banning that scale, so it can't be used later on. Strog, definitely one of the strongest picks here on Corrupted Keep. But from what I see so far, a lot of standard picks in terms of map choices. But again, we're seeing the Eisen once more on Deep Embrace. We've seen it a little bit more than we usually would compared to the Pro League weeks to now over the weekend. And now we're back to normality with the kill on the Deep Embrace from k1llsen as well. But just looking at it as well, just got the Death Knight once again on Awoken, not really too much of a surprise there. And we can see, of course, Rapha banning that slash to avoid any mobility advantages onto his opponent on Molten Falls.
No Nyx coming out, despite that champion not being banned this matchup. That's interesting to see, given how well k1llsen has been performing with her so far. Perhaps he just felt like it wouldn't work well against Rapha, or that he's already revealed too much of how he's been approaching those Nyx fights in the previous few games, that he doesn't want to give Rapha the opportunity to download him. But other than that, this seems pretty standard to me indeed. Nothing out of the ordinary at all. I see one heavy champion for either one of these players, so pretty standard stuff. Rapha going to be running the Anarchy on Ruins versus Ranger, really straight up meta there as well. Awoken BJ versus Death Knight. Again, the only thing that kind of stands out is, the fact that Molten Falls is being played by 2 relatively slow champions. Now, of course, I'm sure that has something to do with the fact that this is the final map of this lineup. And of course, the champion pool dwindles significantly by the time you get to that point. But you usually see at least one of the champions, or one of the players rather, opting for a much faster and more mobile champion because they work so well here.
This looks like a pretty fantastic 5 maps and champ picks across the board. I think you're all right. Like, there's no place where it's like, oh, this is grossly in favor of player X, which means that I hope we get to see. I mean, you look down below and it is the #1 seed on both sides for these regions. This is truly a finals potential right here, and it can't be, because one of these players are going to have to go home, and that's kind of the mind-blowing thing about all of this, you guys. I just can't believe that we are seeing this. We literally are going to get 3 finals in a row, but only the 3rd one actually counts for the championship belt, for winning the championship, excuse me. So let's hop right into it. I'm hearing the clicks and all the tweets or little beeps going on in the client. It sounds like they are ready to go. Lethal and Flea will be your drivers for this matchup. Have fun, gentlemen. I know I'm going to be enjoying this one on the sidelines.
Thank you very much indeed. Flea, you're with me again. That's a shame, isn't it, for you? But it doesn't matter. We've got another series on our hands, and Rapha once again. I know it's a shame. I'm sorry, mate, but it has to be done. Not too much longer now. Just 3 more matches now here left at QuakeCon, and it's going to be Rapha versus k1llsen. Very tough to call, as Rapha, I feel like every single series he plays out, there's an element there where stamina will come into play. And if each and every one of his series does go to a map 5, it's going to hinder him ever so slightly over the course of time. So I'm not too sure what his game plan is. I think it's going to be what most of the players here, especially at this level, just to take it 1 map at a time and just take it slow and steady. Of course, in game, it won't be slow and steady. It'll be the polar opposite. But yeah, I'm excited to see what k1llsen can do this time around in comparison. He's looking much, much better here compared to the previous days here over the weekend. Rapha, we've seen some kinks in the armor, a few little weaknesses, some exploits, which we've seen some of the opponents see over the course of the weekend as well. And let's see if k1llsen can maybe, just maybe, find some more.
Also worth pointing out is that the last 2 times these two played each other, things were split perfectly down the middle. The first time back in Season 1 Stage 3, k1llsen took the win 3-2, but then more recently in the first stage of this season, it was rapha to get the win 3-1. So both of these players have beaten each other once in the stage finals. In the kickoff, I think it was k1llsen who beat rapha as well, but that is such a long time ago. And what an aggressive opening. Lethal, you called it correctly. This is explosive to say the least. k1llsen going to do a good job at dodging that acid spray. Doesn't want to get hit by the damage over time this early on.
He certainly does not. Oh, he's only on 14 HP. k1llsen is the one who draws first blood. Still doing a fair amount of damage here. We spoke about it on numerous occasions, but heavy machine gun is so vital here on the corrupted keep. k1llsen survives, left on 46 HP. And still no, k1llsen having to back away to try and recover. Heavy's up in the next 15 seconds. It's going to be a tall order to try and contest it and maybe even grab it. But have a look at that though. rapha's already there and waiting.
There's a lot of respect coming out on k1llsen's end, and that has a lot to do, of course, with rapha being the GOAT that he is, but also the balance, or rather the imbalance, in terms of starting stack, right? You could see that k1llsen really peppered his opponent with that heavy machine gun over at Rocket, but rapha still had a very workable stack after that, and it looks like I might be able to get this one too. Especially when dropping on top of the Mega, rapha gets a good read, catches k1llsen off, making his way through the center of the map. There's only one frag behind just before Heavy spawned. rapha taking a stand. He's got the rockets to work with. LG on LG, and k1llsen falls just short as rapha now ties it up. We know that this is a very dangerous map to play rapha on, right? He is so good at manifesting that control and then just running away with the momentum later, especially in that second half of the map. And k1llsen's got to be aware of it. Look at how much damage he's taken from the toxicity. He really just wanted to punish rapha for picking up the Mega, and rapha just waited, allowing him to get 60-70 points of damage maybe? That was easy and free and definitely helped rapha in this situation as well.
He was just sitting there waiting for rapha, but luckily for him, rapha wasn't falling for that tomfoolery at all. Just over 2 minutes in. rapha still in the lead. Oh, he got caught off a little bit there with the LG. This is k1llsen's chance to try and re-engage and maybe even take him down. It looks like it's not going to happen as rapha picks up the light. Heavy's up in the next 5 seconds. Is k1llsen going to get there in time? Yes, he will. Slides all the way in. And you know what? Perfect timing indeed from k1llsen as he's going to try and go bottom mid and get away. But we'll find out. But rapha's just sitting there waiting for him to go up the jump pad as k1llsen cleans him up and ties things up 3 apiece.
Little surprised having seen this little peeker use so far. rapha has been making a very effective use of that acid spray, doing significant amount of damage with it already, but k1llsen has really just been hanging on to that active ability of his. He's been primarily just making his way around the map with that crouch slide and also consistently picking up those vials of extra health that rapha drops when he gets killed. But other than that, peeker really hasn't come out to play yet.
Right, it really hasn't here. k1llsen just keeping tabs on rapha there. Some sprinkles of damage across the board. Mega is up. And look at that though. I think he expected him to actually prioritise the heavy, which he did not. Went straight round for the Mega. Of course, with the mobility there, he's able to take advantage of that. Heavy's up any second now. k1llsen just a little bit late, even though he had the height advantage there, but still stacks are almost equal. k1llsen just standing his ground with heavy machine gun, find a few rockets, a few warning shots. What's he going to be able to do with the peeker? Can he do much? Did a bit, did 35 damage there, but every little helps, especially at this level. 20 HP, k1llsen needs to back away, and he does. Picks up the 2 health bubbles. Light isn't there. And that means that rapha's going to be chasing on in, but oh my god, he should not have won that. And instead, k1llsen now extends his lead.
I wonder if rapha's going to push this aggressively. No. In typical rapha fashion, he instead prioritizes just long-term control of the items, even though he had a perfect idea of where his opponent was, and k1llsen falls short with the LG, even running out of ammo. And that is going to allow rapha to get another frag on the board. And now, 10 seconds between the item. Mega's about to spawn first. k1llsen looking to brute force his way onto it. Can he even manage? Somehow, he picks up the Mega, gets bounced right into rapha's face and lands a point-blank shotgun blast. that is going to net him yet another frag.
k1llsen now trying to recover, but at the same time just trying to keep rapha on his toes. Good peeker, but instead does get taken down. But it means that he's done a huge chunk of damage. k1llsen looking to go for the trade, but it doesn't matter. He's actually prioritized the mega instead. And rapha's going to be heading straight towards the heavy. Will k1llsen get there in time? Dodging some of those rockets. That was so important. And one thing to take note is rapha did burn that heavy. So k1llsen won't have full control. But instead now just getting ready for where rapha's going to go next. Beautiful LG there to corner him off around banana. Mega's up in the next 5 seconds. How's k1llsen going to contest this? He's going to again stand his ground. Oh, beautiful stuff again from k1llsen. Now is up by 4 frags. Still got 4 minutes and 20 left to play with here. So plenty of time for rapha to make a comeback if he can. But k1llsen's looking very good.
It's actually not that much of a surprise that k1llsen hasn't been using the peak roll that often, because when it does come out, it very often seems to lead to him ending up in a worse position than he was in beforehand. We saw that against Avik on this map as well, where k1llsen gave up 1 or 2 unfortunate frags by using the ability at the wrong time, and just now that previous peeker, not the one we just saw, but the one before, also really didn't work out in his favor. So I think he's just very hesitant of leaving himself in such a vulnerable state against a monster that is rapha, who's even pulling out some beautiful backwards movement together with a nice little getaway rocket. Solid play from rapha. And he's still got plenty of time left. 3.5 minutes for 3 frags on the map that is Corrupted Keep. That's absolutely right up rapha's alley.
The LG's come out to play. Who's going to come out on top though? Uses the peeker to maybe use its human shield as well as trying to get some damage done there. But can rapha clean up this next frag? He does. Now, after all that, only 1 frag behind. Problem is, he's only on 38 HP. Still got 3 minutes left, and k1llsen can smell blood. Goes straight towards the heavy. Look at the amount of damage k1llsen still took after all that work. And now, does come through, but rapha will find him. Will he be able to get up mid-air? No, he does not. And even if he did, rapha still would have survived, just on the brink of death though. Again, rapha pulling back with the heavy machine gun. k1llsen still with the lead though.
This has been an incredible chaotic match. No one able to establish full control for more than, say, 1 cycle or so. The damage, on the other hand, is heavily favoring the German. rapha at 3.6k damage, k1llsen nearing the 5,000 mark already. The fact that rapha is still keeping this a tight game is just a testament to how well he's been controlling the items, and in fact he's going to do more than just tie it up, getting himself a frag and putting him in the lead. And this is scary for k1llsen, right? rapha picks up the mega. Heavy's gonna spawn in a few seconds, but the Liquid player isn't even going to go for that. Instead, projecting presence throughout the center of the map to get 1 frag, nearly picking up a second one as well. Doesn't want to overcommit, knowing that if he gets in a bad fight and eats too many of these heavy nail guns, that he could be in a bad position and has to give up at least some kind of resources in the next rotation. And now things are really getting out of hand. This is the Liquid diesel engine finally kicking into a higher gear, and k1llsen struggles to stand up to it.
It took a while, Flea. It really did. It took about 7.5–8 minutes, but finally rapha's got full control as k1llsen now trying to fight back with the LG, but not before rapha picking up that heavy. And he's actually recovered. The peeker though is going to circle all the way around as k1llsen gets taken down, but I can't see how k1llsen can come back from this. And you've got to remember, rapha's starting stack is going to be huge as well after each attempt at being taken down. Minute 10 left, k1llsen's still got to find those 4 frags.
That's gonna hurt as well. Actually, k1llsen somehow, somewhere finds a tremendous amount of damage, but gets the read wrong, leaving the rocket at the teleporter exit, whereas instead rapha was just making his way around down below towards the super shoddy. And with that kill, I think this one's done and dusted, and k1llsen will have to start from a 1 frag deficit. There is no coming back from this one. Tremendously close game until the final 2 minutes of the map. constant back and forth, no consistent control or domination of the items for either one of these players. Rapha did manage to secure most of them, but k1llsen ultimately always making him work for it, never allowing him to get comfortable because of the amount of damage that he was putting out, up until, of course, the final 2 minutes, at which point Rapha just really ran away with the scoreline.
Certainly has done. He was down 11-10 and now it's 18-11. What a change of pace it's made. 19-11 in the end. GG's all round, and that means Rapha will take the first map in this best of 5. And yeah, k1llsen was looking very, very good. And it was only a matter of time before one of his players would get full control. And you saw Rapha bagging that around the 7.5, 8 minute mark. There's not really much k1llsen could have done. He became a little bit more predictable towards the end. He probably felt the same, but it got to a point where afterwards, after that few frag lead from Rapha, he had to start playing at a disadvantage, had to really push in at times where he would not really like to. And there we have it though. k1llsen has to try and find his way back in this second map. And you can see as well the amount of words and phrases coming out from Rapha. I'm sure a lot of us can assume what he's been saying on the few of the occasions. But k1llsen, I still have a lot of faith in him though. We saw a lot of signs of life here right at the very beginning, a lot of flair from k1llsen and showing how great his LG was. And you can see there 46%, and even look at the damage count, over 3,000 damage with the LG, almost the same as what Cypher had on Deep Embrace earlier on today.
Yeah, indeed. Rapha, quite talkative at times. Now, luckily for all of us, I'm an expert lip reader, so I could very clearly see what he said, and it was, wow, that was well-deserved, beautiful play, entirely fair. That's exactly word for word what he said. Anything else you might hear is fake news, chat. Don't doubt me. But that is going to be map 1 going in Rapha's favor. Close game until the end, after which he ran away with a pretty convincing scoreline, to be clear. I also think that a very important part in that outcome, Lethal, was just the ability, or rather the lack of ability use coming out of k1llsen. Peeker, how many times did we see the little robot come into action and actually do something that mattered in the long run? Very, very rarely. In fact, several occasions he actually put himself in a bad position, ending with an unfavorable outcome for the German. And if you then go up against someone like Rapha, who had been using that sword-like acid spit very consistently and to great effect as well, yeah, then you're in trouble. You really need to be able to make the most out of every part of your kit, and that is just something that k1llsen was unable to do this time around.
Yeah, didn't really get much value from that Pika. Completely agree with you there. It happened on a number of occasions, and we've seen a lot of people use the Pika to the full effect, but this time round it was just a sprinkle of damage, maybe a little bit of info, but apart from that, he was just using the mobility of the Strog more than anything else in terms of using his active ability, which is a shame, but we'll see what he can do with a different champion. But we have to talk about the item control as well. At one stage, Rapha still had a huge amount of item control and was still barely keeping up with k1llsen, and it's a bit of a worry to some respect, the fact that he's getting all this stack across the board, and it took him up to the 8 minute mark to finally stabilize control. Was a worry for me at one point, but you know, he got there in the end, and k1llsen now needs to focus a bit more on trying to contest these items or bully these items against Rapha just a bit better, just maybe a bit more early preparation. You saw he likes to go on the fly and go for it on the final few moments just to catch Rapha off, but of course with the champion picks next time round, he won't be able to do that as often.
Now indeed, leading up to map 2, it's going to be Ruins of Sarnath, right, Lethal? Anarchy being played by Rapha. We know he is an expert at running those light and mobile champions. His slash is incredible, his Athena is exquisite. He also loves using the Anarchy, so clearly a very deep champion pool. And that's one of the things that Rapha said before we went into this series, right? That k1llsen has a very comparable pool when it comes to champions and depth and skill with all the different champions available in the game. Now k1llsen is going to try and counter that by using the Ranger, which is a pick that can very easily work, especially when you get into control, because it is going to be very difficult and risky for Rapha running Anarchy to get those resources if he falls out of control, just because of the nature of the map. The small armors are out in the open, exposed on those little open squares, make them a very tremendous railgun magnet. So if he tries to go for them, k1llsen will probably be able to punish severely and consistently. So Rapha going into this has to pay close attention as to not fall behind in those opening few minutes.
Speaking of a few minutes, just a underway for a couple of minutes so far, just waiting for Rapha to reappear back onto the server. It won't be too much longer now, as we'll be heading to our second map. Like rightly said, it will be on Ruins. And yeah, at least he's got a bit more space this time around for k1llsen to try and stabilise what he wants to do in terms of his plan of action. It's a little bit of a struggle beforehand, just on spawn we saw that the last couple of minutes it was quite predictable, and I think at some point he just got a bit fed up and just started throwing bodies at him, and I don't blame him really. That's what I said before, is you know, you have to play to disadvantages, which is a shame, but what can you do? It's corrupted keep. It's very hard to try and stay alive even on spawn at this high level. And I want to know your thoughts on how we're going to approach this matchup as well. I think the first map was on EU, so now switching to the NA side of things. And I feel like Rapha now would be a bit more comfortable, especially on this map. But k1llsen, like I said before, has got a bit more space to work with, and he can choose his time wisely. And of course, he does have that rail, which he's known for.
Yeah, indeed, all the more impressive that Rapha managed to take home that map win on the European server, and now we're switching over to a North American one. Now a big factor in this map, Lethal, is obviously going to be the railgun. Corrupted Keep, only map in the pool not to feature the rail. And of course, k1llsen, also known as Railsen, absolutely loved having his hands on that weapon. So that could be a decisive factor. We've seen him hit tremendously high percentages of railgun accuracy. That matchup against Waz keeps coming to mind. I don't remember what the final score was, but it was constant hits off the spawn. If k1llsen can set something up like that, there's quite a bit of a freedom in how you can maneuver some of the spawns on this map too, so k1llsen could be setting something up that's truly beautiful with the railgun.
He really could. Like I said, that's his reputation, is what he's known for. Don't get me wrong, he's got a wealth of knowledge and experience behind it, and this could be his time to shine here. Of course, without the rail, he couldn't really keep Rapha back by any means. Not even the heavy machine gun's going to be able to do itself justice if Rapha's flying at you with that much of a stack. But just heard as we're going to be going in very shortly, Rapha has returned, and we'll be faced up against k1llsen once again. We said we are switching to NA. It will be on Ruins, and we're going to see if k1llsen can make any more of it here. And it was tough, but like I said, a lot more faith on k1llsen. He did play extremely well for the majority of that matchup. It's just more about their item control, to try and bully and contest the items a bit better than he was previously. And I feel like on Ruins, he can just do that. It's just a matter of what positional advantage he's going to have, the angles he's going to get the rails. There's a lot of things need to collect up here in order to force Rapha back, and I really think he can. He's hyper aggressive. It's something which sometimes Rapha struggles to deal with, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in this next matchup.
Now I'm taking a look at chat's predictions as well. 65% is favoring Rapha, 35% is putting their channel points on k1llsen. It's kind of a significant departure from what we saw on the first map, where they were a lot more evenly balanced. Looks like some of the people have been inspired by Rapha's performance and are now banking it all on the American as we load into map 2, kicking it off on Rapha's point of view, running the Anarchy. And very slow start. Doesn't really commit to either one of the items off the bat. Instead, just making his way over to the Mega. And he definitely heard the heavy being picked up. So Rapha's got a good idea of both of the item timings. Now he's still lacking LG. Can't really take these fights at the medium distance, and is going to try and maneuver around that up until he can secure that weapon of his own.
Yeah, we've seen the Anarchy used a huge amount here on Ruins this weekend. For now, just having a little bit of a wander to see exactly where k1llsen could be, but making the assumption he is down on heavy, and that's confirmed that from the audio cue. And he's just in the LG area. Will k1llsen go through the telly though? No, he will not, as he expects Rapha to prepare for him. First rail in favour of Rapha. It's going to be going back all the way around, as k1llsen's actually going to be not dropping back down just yet. He will now, but that's the second rail. Third one, he almost went out. He had to all back in. And the sad thing for k1llsen, he had to waste his ability to try and stay on the map, but it's just not going to help out at all. Good amount of damage with the rockets. He's surprised that k1llsen's actually still there. Oh, the damage being done already, 2-0 in favour of Rapha, and that's not something you want to have against an Anarchy.
Absolutely not. Now k1llsen does pick up the Mega Health, but all he's got to work with is that standard starting machine gun. So Rapha bounces him around a fair bit with rockets and leaves him to his own devices, because he knows that he is faster. Rapha can easily make his way around the map, deny both of these small armors, then go for Mega, later make a move for Heavy as well. He's absolutely in no rush to take the fight right then and there. He can wait. He can absolutely afford to just sit back and prioritize resources over chasing down k1llsen. Now Mega is actually still up. k1llsen will eventually secure it, but look, that's the issue that he's dealing with right now. Doesn't have the weapons to fight with. All he's got is rockets. No rail, no LG, and Rapha is punishing him gravely for that.
Now there's another inject. Perfect timing. Good rocket from Rapha. Tickled him a tad with the LG, and actually k1llsen's dropped all the way down. And now Rapha's going to get the heavy. Perfect timing. The Mega is going to be up in a few seconds. Rapha won't get there in time, but that's perfectly fine. The heavy was his main priority. Still got the inject. Still looking to see how he can trap k1llsen again. It's found him though. The LG battle will come out, and Rapha's taken a huge blunt of that. Looking at misses another rail again. This could be k1llsen's first frag, but still using the inject to keep him in this. And look at this so far. We're switching to the rockets and still somehow survived, adding that fourth frag.
Rapha stuck in the worst of corners. Up until k1llsen just slowly moves in for the kill shot, and then out comes the injection, followed by some beautiful LG by Rapha. A quick switch into the super shotty is going to clean up his opponent once more. k1llsen really doesn't seem like he has an answer to the way that Rapha's playing right now. Twice as much damage for Rapha as k1llsen right now, and I think that's going to be the main problem here for the German. Finally starting to land a few more of these rails, but look, Rapha 60% railgun accuracy, k1llsen just 20, and then a bit of a misplay right there. k1llsen could have secured Mega, but he triggered the orb, flew right on through it, and then just swapped places with Rapha. And now the American is already 5 frags up.
Yeah, a lot of fumbling going on here. Last thing you want here in the final. Rapha down to 31 HP. This could be k1llsen's chance, but still though, Rapha still has to kill a bit of time yet. Still 6 minutes left. But with the mobility of the Anarchy, he's going to be okay to try and get away from him if he does have to play passive later on. But look at the amount of damage that Rapha still was managing to do, using the inject for safe measures in case it gets railed. And already 6-0. It's a bit uncharacteristic from what we've seen so far from k1llsen. He's only hit 1 rail shot in the last 4.5 minutes. And now Rapha's back to a very healthy stack. Mega's now up. And the longer he delays it, the better, as he now can keep rotating these items how he sees fit. And k1llsen's trapped a little bit in that courtyard. He can't even drop down to that heavy jump pad as Rapha's directly above him. He's going to make the attempt anyway, but at what cost? Good rail as Rapha's going to be charging on in. k1llsen, though, gets taken down by the tribal. Good thought process, good weapon switch, good weapon selection. And Rapha's now got the heavy 7-0 on Ruins. This is not something you want to see here, Flea.
Still 60% railgun accuracy for Rapha. Finally, k1llsen gets a push at the right time. That's something that he's been trying for repeatedly. Only now does it actually go in his favor. Oh, he's going to catch Rapha again. Rockets need to be good, and indeed they are. Is this the start of a comeback? He's got a lot of work cut out for him, especially when you consider how much faster Rapha is on that Anarchy. But Heavy is going to definitely be a good start to help him get going. Oh no, Rapha is going to deny that so quickly. k1llsen, perhaps a bit too obvious in the routing right there. Rapha was ready for him, pushing him straight back down and picking up the Mega as a reward.
Yeah, it's a bit early to play the cat and mouse game with the defensive approach, but at least Rapha now can get away as he sees fit, depending on how close k1llsen's going to be. Just got to keep his distance and rely on his rail. And Rapha's definitely got a vague idea that he's going to be around that courtyard, so he's backed off, picks up the Mega for free, might we add. As k1llsen now just biding his time, playing this slow, and this is something we don't really want to see yet, because time's being wasted, and the more time being wasted, Rapha's just going to be happier along the way. Directly below him, hits the first rail. That was crucial, but he's not going to go in for the kill. The stack's just way too much. k1llsen's just going to pick up light, get ready for the next Mega, and then you can approach Rapha. That was a good first rocket from Rapha. Some good damage there as well. He's going to come out with the LG, picks up the Mega, but can he clean him up? Hits the direct, hits the rail. This is his moment, but Rapha is the one who comes out on top.
fraction of a second later, k1llsen had an opportunity to get another frag on the board, but the damage that he incurred, those rockets before the item spawned lethal, it was just too much. And then he even loses a whole bunch of time going for the orb, repositioning. It was the only thing he could do, obviously. It's not a bad play, but yeah, once you commit, you're that deeply invested already. There's very little you can do. And now 7 frags of a lead for rapha already. It sure seems as if any sort of rust that had been plaguing him at the beginning of these finals has completely been scrubbed off. rapha is looking fine, he is on form, he's landing his shots, making the right decisions. And k1llsen just hasn't been able to catch up in this series yet.
At this point, I'm sure a lot of people in chat are assuming the exact same thing, but clawing back 7 frags on Ruins against an Anarchy, yeah, it's going to be way too tough no matter what k1llsen can do. But now it's gone up to 8 frags. About to pick up the heavy, has the inject. This is pretty much set for rapha. Oh, good rocket as well as he came out to telly, and he's going to use the inject just for safety measures, but k1llsen still came out on top after that little LG scuffle. Picks up a mega, but we know it's going to be a little bit too late here. We'll see what k1llsen can do, but it's going to be extremely difficult. I can't imagine in a perfect world how k1llsen's going to bring this back. He's going to be waiting for the next heavy, and that's the other thing as well. He can't just get these 7 frags and keep an eye on his rotation of items here, but does find another. Has a minute and 15 left to make something happen.
He did guess the spawn correctly, but because rapha decided to leave the small armor up, k1llsen looked away in the other direction, and those few extra seconds lethal, they all add up over time. And when there's barely a minute left on the clock, then that makes the world of difference. And indeed, I'm inclined to agree with you. I really don't see much of an opportunity for k1llsen to mount a comeback today. Right now, there simply isn't any more time for k1llsen. He will have to bank it all on the next few maps. And of course, since this is a best of 5, he has to win all 3 of them in a row if he wants to continue his run through the lower bracket. Now, looking at just this last map that we just watched, Lethal, I feel like there's a lot of parallels here between how rapha played his game against Cypher on Molten. So many similarities. rapha with the faster champion, this time he's running Anarchy, back then he was playing Strog. Oh, both times he's going up against a Ranger, and the speed is really what is helping him win these fights. If you give rapha the advantage in terms of mobility, his exquisite game sense is just going to allow him to run circles around you, and he is so fast to always do damage on the items. And even if he doesn't, right, I feel like that's one of rapha's almost signature plays. He will do so much damage, and even though he's in an opportunity where he can easily get the frag, he's like, no, if I get the frag now, you might get a spawn on the other side of the map, closer to the major item that's going to spawn, and you could actually challenge me. So I'm going to leave you be on 20 points of health, you enjoy that sliver of health that you've got left, and I'm going to run all the way around the map. I'm going to pick up both of the small armors and get that major item as well. And now there's absolutely nothing you can do, and I am set up for consistent control, not just in these next 30 seconds, but for minutes to come. And that is one of the things that makes him such an incredibly strong player.
I think a few of the fumbles at the beginning turned him from k1llsen to k1llsen here, but still has 3 more maps in it to create this reverse sweep against rapha. It's hard enough to take 1 flea, let alone 3, but he's definitely one of the players who can or may be able to do it, but we'll see. As you can see from the rail accuracy, they're improved for k1llsen over time, but only 43% against the Anarchy, rapha 50%. And yeah, pretty much textbook stuff there from rapha. Didn't really need to do too much. After that huge lead, he was still able to go on the aggressive, and after the last couple of minutes, the work had already been done. It's just a matter of k1llsen playing the guessing game and having to play cat and mouse to try and catch up to what rapha's going to be up to. But with the mobility, it's just not going to happen, not even in the slightest here. So, 2-0 in favour of rapha, just joining us here. And whoever wins out in this series will have to play against Razy, and then if you manage to defeat Razy, then it will be going straight into the grand final. But still 2-0 in favour of rapha, like I've already mentioned. We're going to be switching up shortly onto the next map, But what you've seen so far, Flea, it's been pretty tough here for k1llsen. I think some of the fumbles at the very beginning didn't really help. Well, let's be real, it wouldn't have helped anyone there. And it's not really something k1llsen's known for here. And I'm hoping he can kind of reset and go back and just reset his mentality and just go into this third map, because we know he's, you know, full of much better stuff here. We know he's got a lot more potential in him, and to bring this back in the match out.
Now, the next match is going to be on Deep Embrace, and for the first time in this series, k1llsen is not playing Rapha on a very fast champion, right? We saw him play Strog first, rather Sorlag first, followed by Anarchy on the previous map. This time, Rapha is running llsen, a lot slower, a lot more boots on the ground approach, whereas k1llsen is going to counter with Keel. So he's got that stack advantage from the get-go, but he has to deal with the turret as well. Let's see if that actually makes a difference now that Rapha isn't going to be able to run circles around him as easily as he did before.
We've barely seen llsen on Deep Embrace, and now we've seen him, what, 2 or 3 times so far this weekend. So a lot of people have obviously known about the llsen and just using it to its advantages. But the turret placement on the heavy has been a big factor as well, or just placing it on spawn just to keep track of the information there. So a lot of uses. We haven't seen as much kill as we'd like to, but this time we are going to get the kill, which is slightly back to normality, Flea, which is nice to see. But k1llsen now needs to find 3 maps. And I said it before, you can't even get 1 against Rapha, let alone 3 on, you know, most cases. But k1llsen is the sort of guy who can do it. Have a little bit of faith in him to see what he can do. But if he doesn't, then it means Rapha will be the winner, and we'll be playing against Razy in the losers final. But still, though, going into the third map, 2-0 lead for Rapha. Let's see if we can make it a 3-0, or if k1llsen can bring us back and take us to a map 4, maybe even a map 5.
Once more, we're off on Rapha's point of view. And indeed, what you said is entirely true. k1llsen, yes, he is the first seed in EU, had the best performance out of anyone this stage, but it is Rapha that he's up against. And having to make up 3 maps in a row against this powerhouse of a player without losing once, that is a near impossible assignment for anyone in the circuit.
Certainly is indeed. Now, Rapha going straight back towards the Mega. First minute in, nothing really too much has happened. Nothing too much to talk about yet. Just both trying to feel each other out. k1llsen just making sure he gets that top mid control. Trying to find out exactly where Rapha could be, but making the assumption that he's on heavy, and the assumption paid off with that tri-bolt. Still, there's going to be going straight in, just diving on in to see what he can do. The turret comes down, he needs to try and get away. 90 HP. k1llsen drops down into that murder hole to get a couple of his health bubbles, gets the Mega as well. It's the stack advantage here, but Rapha's still going on in, but good railed, a couple of missed pineapples, but hits the second. And this is the moment which k1llsen was looking for here, as he's trying to see exactly where Rapha is going to go, but he's down to 45 HP. k1llsen was waiting for that, just daring for him to travel across from those rockets.
Oh, he's early. He's so
HP,
early.
pushing in. Oh, it does manage to survive it though, but how long for, Flea?
That was the problem, right? k1llsen way too early for the heavy pickup. There were 6 seconds left on the timer when he showed his face, and Rapha is of course going to try and rush him down straight off the bat from the spawn. Super Shotgun can't quite find its mark there at the end, and now Rapha is already in the lead, and k1llsen is going to be the first one onto the heavy. All he's got is the rockets to work with, and luckily for him, that is also the best weapon for this engagement. Decent enough damage just to keep Rapha at bay and force him onto the Mega instead. Oh, this is nice. k1llsen gets the perfect read, finds Rapha. This should be a kill for the German, but actually closer than expected. Sent himself flying upwards by rocketing straight onto the turret. But nevertheless, he cleans it up and is now 1 frag in the lead just before heavy spawns. Can he get onto it in time?
k1llsen's known for his combat skills here, just trying to keep Rapha at bay. He's done so much work, so much damage here. Manages to get away, but look, the Mega is still up. But he's focusing on the kill. He takes down Rapha once more, up 4-2. As we're heading into the 3rd minute mark, realises that Rapha is directly underneath him, just relying on those sound cues. Rapha didn't really know his top mid, but probably made the assumption anyway, just going up that power up staircase. Doesn't hit the pineapple, but is waiting to see if Rapha's going to go across, which he has done. and will have to give up that heavy. Again, k1llsen just waiting for him to drop down. Great LG. Will he get it? Yes, he does.
Oh!
Gets the 5th frag.
Beautiful little flick up, but completely lost on where rapha is going to spawn. k1llsen was not expecting him to reappear behind him over at LG. And that allows the American player to slowly start closing the gap. Now he's making his way over towards the heavy. k1llsen, I don't really think is in a position to take this fight simply because of the weapons alone. Yes, he's got a decent stack to work with, but no LG, no rockets. All he's got is that railgun, and he doesn't want to risk getting caught out in a bad spot with nothing to defend himself with.
This is the k1llsen we know and love. The rails he's hitting. 64% rails for k1llsen, 54% for rapha, so not too far behind. Item control pretty much the same, 8 apiece. And you can see k1llsen's feeling it now. He's kind of recovered from that mental fortitude he had to try and suffer earlier on, and now bringing his A game in. But the hunt's still on. He's still on the chase. He wants to try and inflicts a little bit more damage onto rapha, but rapha manages to stay alive. And look at this, he's going to find him straight away. Increases the lead once again. Up 7-3, hits the first one, doesn't hit the second, but he's already done enough in order to bag himself that mega. Almost finds rapha in the murder hole, but it's actually decided to pull back. In all fairness, I don't blame him, as rapha now, the direct flee, exactly what he needed. And look at the stack.
That was gorgeous. rapha perched up on top of that pillar thinking, I am clear when it comes to rocket damage. There's a snowball's chance in hell that he actually manages to connect, and that is of course exactly what k1llsen manages to pull off. And now rapha truly is bleeding frags already. k1llsen 7 points ahead of his opponent. Absolutely not looking like he's going to slow down anytime soon.
I don't think rapha's going to be a popular fan of Deep Embrace after this matchup. He lost 24-11 to Cypher earlier on, and k1llsen is looking to try and do the same, or at least try and get as close to it. Is he going to be able to hit this rail, though? Decides to play it safe, and he tried to drop down with the... Oh, okay, that really shouldn't have happened. I think he was trying to bring up the starting shotgun to try and clean him up, but he doesn't. But, well, I could say a trade at least, you know, paid off for rapha, but then again, doesn't change the fact that now k1llsen's got a large stack, picks up the heavy, hits the first rail, and now rapha is on the back foot again.
That was a sizable misplay by k1llsen, and rapha looking to capitalize off that. Already forced out the trade, as you pointed out, but now he's trying to build some momentum on the back of that. Good rail by k1llsen. That's going to buy him some time before mega spawns, but rapha is quick on his feet, lands another good shot. Ultimately decides to go for heavy instead. And there is k1llsen already. He got LG off spawn, he's got rockets to work with as well. Can they connect? No, they will not. The turret comes out to help rapha out a bit as well. And now we're only 5 frags separating these two players.
Comeback is on for rapha, as long as he keeps track of his items, but not if k1llsen's railing like that. Now rapha's just going to back away again. Those heavies can be up any second now. Both items aren't segregated, so it's going to be a while until one of these players gets full control. 3 minutes left, and how is rapha going to bring this back? Has no info on where k1llsen is. We'll find him now, though, as k1llsen, well, both players actually missed each other's rails. Good damage there from the last rocket. It's going to be coming with the turret. Good direct, good rail straight afterwards. This is the opening rapha was looking for. And k1llsen is still up top, waiting for him to be approached by rapha. Not going to happen. Mega is up as rapha decided to go towards the heavy. Doesn't pick it out. Finally does. And k1llsen going straight for that mega.
He will get a hold of it too, but rapha's all over him. Rockets are fine, and k1llsen barely does any damage in return. That's basically a free frag for rapha, and that should not have happened. If k1llsen had done more damage there, he could be in a really solid position to take away heavy for free, but now it's likely that he's going to drop a frag before the item even spawns, and now we're just separated by 3 kills. And rapha, that's such a sick play, making a move onto that small armor in the middle, making so k1llsen spawns over on the other side of the map, where he could get a bit of a spawn frag off, but unfortunately for him, k1llsen turns it around rather quickly, and once again extends his lead. Lethal Is this the start of the reverse sweep?
For k1llsen's sake, I hope so. So now k1llsen just trying to figure out exactly how he can just keep his distance. Now just standing his ground, just trying to get as much damage done as possible before he gets taken down. He's done a little bit, but the stacks are even. The only problem is rapha hasn't got... Sorry, k1llsen hasn't got the weapons in his arsenal apart from that LG. You can see rapha just well aware of that, just keep himself out of range, and this is looking so good for rapha. This is getting dangerous now. Dangerous territory indeed. He's going straight for the rail. He does grab it, but 81 damage from that last rocket. k1llsen just trying to get away at this point, trying to use those pineapples and the rail straight afterwards. And now he's going to be able to get that heavy. The only problem is for k1llsen is that Mega's coming up in the next 7 seconds, and rapha's already in position to try and go for it, or at least contest it.
This is really the rapha factor, I feel like. A player can be 4 frags ahead against rapha with 2 minutes left on the clock, and you still feel like rapha is in the driver's seat, set to take it all. But now time is starting to run out as k1llsen has simply switched to a completely defensive game. Doesn't even make a move on Mega. Should drop down here, and indeed he will. 30 seconds left on the clock. Can the man from Big hold out for half a minute against the onslaught that rapha is about to bring? Rapha catches sight of him, jumps down. Not much connecting, but oh no, he finds k1llsen. The pineapples do damage, but just not enough. And rapha brings it back to a tied game. Doesn't even go for Mega straight away. Wants to deny those small armors first and project some presence towards the center of the map.
I can't believe how much this is escalated. It's going to go to sudden death. Knows that k1llsen's most probably going to be there for the heavy. This is going to be a great way to start this comeback. And look at this, rapha is just on the warpath now, just doing a sprinkle of damage here and there, but it's all adding up. He realizes that rapha was raidable and he had to back off. k1llsen, oh, 28 HP. Can k1llsen do it? Get his final frag? He does with the starting shotgun. I'm not too sure how much health k1llsen had at the end, but it wasn't really much, but that was the best time for him to bring that back. Deary me, cutting it close after that 5 frag lead, and k1llsen just couldn't do anything at all, as rapha just had a great way to keep the control, keep those frags clean. And just looking at the items so far, a lot more similar in comparison. k1llsen actually contested the items a lot better this time round, and rapha still did a little bit more damage overall, but still those signs of life from k1llsen.
Yeah, absolutely, and k1llsen made exactly the right play there towards the end. His defensive rockets were straight up punctual, once again setting up on top of that little pillar next to the heavy, keeping rapha at bay, and rapha, knowing that he had the weapon advantage, just kept looking for that extra rail, right? One more shot could have changed it all for the liquid player, allowing him to get free access to the Mega, then rotate back around, go for heavy as well, but he just couldn't land the shot, whereas k1llsen was doing consistent. It was limited damage, yes, but it was consistent damage with every rocket up until things went south for rapha. So k1llsen showing a lot of resolve, a lot of determination as he gets his first map win in this series.
He certainly does. Next map will be on Awoken, but let's check the stats first before we talk about that a little bit. 390 more damage for rapha, even though k1llsen took that game, and I think both of us made the assumption that this could be it. Surely rapha can try and end it, but he doesn't. But good comeback nonetheless. 50% rail for rapha. k1llsen feeling it a bit more now. He wasn't really oozing with confidence so in that last map, but this time round he definitely is. He's reset his mentality. 47% LG, 54% rail, and he's going to be pretty pleased about that. A lot better work with the item control as well. He struggled a fair amount in the first map. Second map it was pretty even, but this time round he definitely got the better. Only by a slight margin, but he'll definitely take it now going into this fourth map. What are you feeling, Flea? Do you reckon this goes to 5 map out?
It very well could. After what we just saw k1llsen pull out of absolutely nowhere, that was beautiful, living up to the reputation and of course all the renown that comes with being the highest seed in all of Europe. Now map 4, Lethal, that is going to be Awoken. Death Knight is going to be played by rapha versus k1llsen on the BJ. So both players, once again, not opting for movement, not going for the mobility that you so often see on Awoken, but instead making it all about the damage output. BJ with the dual wield versus rapha, of course, using Death Knight to have that Flame Strike available. And this is pretty much a similar situation that we saw earlier when Cypher played rapha. Death Knight again being played on Awoken, and Rapha being so clever in how he closes the gap and always tries to stay on top of his opponent, making it all about those close quarters engagement where he can really make the Flame Strike shine.
Yeah, we've seen it do it on a number of occasions. We've seen a lot of Death Knight on the Woken as well. Normally we see the BJ pick on a map like Corrupted Keep, but does work out on the Woken as well. So k1llsen won't be too fussed about that at all. Again, it just means that he needs to get a lot more of his combat skills flowing through him, as we saw that on Deep Embrace. And yeah, Deep Embrace hasn't really been the map for Rapha, really, has it? We saw it with Cypher early on. It didn't go badly this time around for k1llsen. Still brought that comeback there. He rectified a lot of their mistakes towards the later half of that last map. But can k1llsen do it? Can he create this reverse sweep? He's already made a start. It's just a matter of if he can get these next 2 maps. And definitely possible from what we've seen so far. We've seen a lot of flair again from k1llsen to try and bring this back. And I'm sure a lot of people in the chat are going to be discussing whether if he actually can or not. So Rapha just 1 map away from the losers final, as Razy will be waiting for one of these 2 players, or can k1llsen take us to a map number 5? We'll have to see. And just looking at what chat are thinking, they're thinking Rapha 73% and k1llsen 27%. Not really too surprised, but let's see at the very beginning, as Rapha now trying to do as much as he can against k1llsen at the very beginning, but doesn't matter. He's pulled all the way back, looking to pick up that rail.
Slow-paced start once again. When the going gets tough and it's really down to that one decisive map, this is very often what you see players do. Really unlikely to engage, at least in the opening sections of this map, in fights that are just not favorable on them. Good opening rail from k1llsen. Nice little cheeky burst of damage to help him out. And there's already a pretty significant split between the items here, Lethal. 10 seconds between Heavy and Mega. Now k1llsen is in position, but so is Rapha. Oh, that rail, that might change k1llsen's mind. No, he is still going to go for it, landing a good shot of his own. And now the race for Mega is on. Oh, he's on fire. He's a flame. Second or two too early. The flame combined with the LG is going to get Rapha the frag.
That was a perfect flame strike there from Rapha. Now with the 1-0 lead. k1llsen trying to get ready for this next heavy. Will he be able to stop him? No, I'm not too sure. Yes, he actually does manage to get the heavy, stops the burning. And k1llsen now trying to go straight up to top mid to try and stop him from picking up that Mega. He should be able to pick it up anyway, but can he survive? I'm not too sure if Rapha can. No, he cannot, as k1llsen takes the lead.
Good start for the German. Now Heavy. Once again, we're getting the exact same situation. The big difference here is that Rapha doesn't have a railgun, and k1llsen is well aware of this, landing some good shots of his own. He is going to drop down, and Rapha can't quite connect with the rockets that he needed, of course. Caught in a very, very poor position. That is going to allow k1llsen to once more get another frag on the board. Nice rockets being exchanged though, Rapha. Especially that second one was so clutch, sending k1llsen falling down. If he hadn't bounced his opponent downwards like that, k1llsen was in a pretty decent position to actually clean up the kill.
Heavy gets picked up. Rapha though standing his ground, getting ready for this next Mega, but look at the amount of damage and punishment that k1llsen took just then. Waiting for him to re-peak, and he actually has done. Will he better stop him? No, he does not. The animation from that last shot isn't going to give him enough time. Still, those stacks pretty much equal. Oh, one angle as well. If he hit that, that would have been remarkable. But then again, it is k1llsen after all. I would not be surprised if he did hit that. And I love how he's just trying to take these unorthodox angles to keep Rapha off guard. But Rapha's going to rotate all the way back round again. k1llsen's making the right read though, just making sure he can't go through. Using that flame strike again. Doesn't get affected, but it's going to keep him back. Good use of the dual wield. And look at this, the patience and the discipline from k1llsen. He picks up the Mega. The light is there just waiting for him. And now he's in a great position to try and go for this heavy. Already the damage done here, Flea. Trying to do what he can. Will he be able to get this heavy though? I'm not really too sure.
Lots of damage being dealt to k1llsen right there. And now Rapha is looking to set up for full control. k1llsen, that is such a risky move. He is outstacked significantly. Yet still decides to go for a few cautionary shots, hoping to land or connect at least something with the rocket that will give him an angle onto the Mega. But no, rapha avoids any damage and is now looking absolutely powerful. And also, just to clarify, even though the overlay says EU, this is most definitely being played on a North American server.
The way this is being played, you'd assume it's on the EU server, but it's not your bang on the money there. k1llsen now won't have his dual wield for a while. The hourglasses are next to him, but of course if he picks them up, he does want to give away his position. I can perfectly understand this as Heavy's come up in the next 6 seconds, and k1llsen just hoping that he goes away and just goes for the Mega, but he does not. Heavy's finally appeared. You can tell now k1llsen just biding his time, picking up the light, finds rapha with that first rail. That was crucial there to keep the stacks as even as possible, but again, he's not in a position to go for that Mega. He doesn't want to get caught up in that choke point. And the tri-bolt shot just goes over k1llsen's head. But k1llsen's played this very well, considering he's been on the back foot the majority of the last few minutes.
Still, this worries me somewhat. We know just how good rapha is at tightening the net in the final stages of the game, right? So k1llsen, he is managing to do some damage here and there, but nothing excessive, nothing to the extent of him being able to steal away these items or somehow throw a spanner in the works. And I fear that 2 frags in 4 minutes, that is absolutely realistic for rapha. So k1llsen, he has to keep landing these shots over and over again. The moment that starts going wrong, he is in big trouble.
And already now, k1llsen just top mid. He's going to be heading all the way back to pick up and collect all these lights. Mega will be up any second now. And I must say, k1llsen's playing this very well. Great rotations, great paving in terms of how he wants to go about avoiding rapha, keeping his distance. Heavy's up in the next 6 seconds. He now knows that k1llsen's just waiting for it. Or maybe he doesn't actually after that last rocket. He dives in for it anyway. And I'm going to have a look at the item control here, Philippe, because 6-7 minutes have passed and you can see 18 items for rapha and only 7 for k1llsen. But k1llsen's been doing a good job just making sure he can't use these items to the full effect. Baiting out the jump pad. Not going for the tailor yet, just waiting for rapha to go for the Mega. But does he know he's actually going to drop down straight for him after that flame shot? Yes, he does. Finally, after all that time, gets that next frag. But k1llsen does get the Mega.
He will be giving up the heavy though. rapha will be taking that away. That was a very good steal from k1llsen. Now it's LG on LG. rapha stack is melting. k1llsen definitely doing most of the damage and cleans it up beautifully with the shotgun as well. Now k1llsen is in a really good position to take over that rotation that rapha had started. It's 3 seconds left before the Mega spawns. k1llsen should be able to secure this one without much effort. rapha doesn't have a rail to immediately punish. But it doesn't look like k1llsen's really in a position to go straight back onto heavy either. Instead, hoping to just do some damage. And he's actually doing a whole lot of damage. That's a big rocket from the German. rapha forced to rocket jump out of the room. Couldn't get up the bounce pad. Couldn't just try and walk his way out of there because k1llsen absolutely had his number. But the flame strike is deadly. k1llsen kind of looking the wrong direction there. Still has that 1 frag of elite. And actually makes it work. Here we go. 2 minutes, 2 frags of elite for k1llsen. Can he add some more to it? Nope. rapha now bringing it back to just a 1 frag game.
This is so difficult to call. 2 minutes left. Can k1llsen get this frag? It's going to be so important towards his reverse sweep. No, it's not. 8 HP, Flea. Only 8. But look at this, though. k1llsen's already on that Mega, just daring for rapha to come towards him, but it finds him again. What are you about to do? The flame shot comes up, though, and no. rapha is the one. Comes out on top. The worst thing is, the Mega's there. k1llsen's going straight for it, though. And look at this, the stacks are still equal. Will that starting shotgun do something here? And a trade comes out between the two. So rapha also spawns on the heavy. Oh, this is going to spell trouble here. But then again, k1llsen does have the slightly better weapon. He's pulled back again. Rapha has the tiniest stack advantages here. Mega's up in the next 5 seconds, and we're on the final minute of the game here, Flea.
That's a shame. k1llsen late to react, actually allowing Rapha an easy entrance onto the Mega. But the Liquid player isn't even gonna go for it. He knows how risky it is. One bad rocket will immediately remove any sort of advantage he might have gotten from picking that up. So now k1llsen is actually the one leading with the stack, but he doesn't have the LG, and in doing so, he loses out so much of his stack right there. None of those rockets connect. Oh, Rapha is straight behind him. That's a good rocket. k1llsen, can he find more damage? He has to. Wisely decides not to push through the teleporter because the Flame Strike had been deployed, but oh, his aim falls short in the final few seconds, and with 20 left to go, k1llsen, I think he's taken his hands off the keyboard. He is indeed going to call GG's, and Rapha is going to be relieved with that outcome because that was close, and for a moment there it really looked as if k1llsen was gearing up to bring it back and secure at least another shot in the final of maps, but nope, Rapha will secure this victory 3-2-1, ensuring that he continues his run through the lower brackets.
So close. I couldn't believe it. I thought k1llsen had it then, but Rapha doing his usual trend of making that comeback when required. Even on the Woken, he looks so good, but what a shame. I think k1llsen just barely, I don't think he mistimed the Mega, he just timed it perfectly so that it can do some damage to Rapha as he picks it up and then go from there whilst Rapha was top mid. But yeah, he had to survive 1 more second. Did not happen. But I want to see what Wheat has to think about that, as we've had nothing but map 4s and map 5s and almost every single best of 5, and now we've got another here. But k1llsen, he was on the running for that reverse sweep at one stage.
There was just, again, so many instrumental moments that happened throughout those matches. Honestly, I actually thought Rapha was looking at a 3-0 on Deep Embrace. Like, that one frag game was pretty nutty. And then, frankly, on Awoken, it looked like k1llsen was carrying that momentum over and was really going to take it. And Flea, you said something. It's the Rapha factor, right? And I got to tell you, comebacks in Quake, they're a special thing. You know, oftentimes you're like looking at something, right? Like 7-1. This is going to be pretty tough. And then those moments just happen, and the flow starts coming, and some of the frags snowball. And I agree with you. I think Rapha has a unique ability to be able to do that. And sure, we've seen k1llsen do that as well. But we saw it kind of play out there in that series, except for Deep Embrace, with k1llsen just totally killed on that one. This is a bittersweet victory. Sorry, I'm stumbling now, but this is a bittersweet victory because k1llsen's been playing so well. He's had such a climb during season 3. There's been a lot of ups and downs, so it is sad to see him go home. On the same token, bittersweet because Rapha fighting his way through the lower bracket is something we've never seen before, and is quite a sight to behold as well. So it kind of feels like a lose-lose situation in a weird way, but we all win because we still got 2 more amazing games Quake coming up, so don't you worry about that. We're not going to have an interview. We are going to be moving on to Razy versus Rapha coming up next, because after that, we're hitting the grand finals. And we already know Wenger probably propped back, eating a margarita pizza, getting ready, you know, thinking about what he's going to do when he's 20 years old. It's going to be a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2 more matches left here for the QPL World Championship. Thank you for joining us, Lethal and Flea. Thank you so much. When we come back, it's Razy versus Rapha to find out who's going to face Wenger in the grand finals. Don't go away. We'll be right back.